This is going to sound bizarre, but you can actually edit the same footage to play either comedically or dramatically. By using all the tools in your arsenal, including pacing and timing, music, take selection, etc., you can actually create different emotional tones using essentially the exact same footage, sometimes even the same performance. The actor's performance is crucial, don't get me wrong. You don't necessarily want to try to make a comedian be dramatic. But editing is so powerful that it is possible, even if it feels a little off. So, your job is to establish the tone. Use all of the theory and tips and tricks and techniques that you've been learning in editing to establish the tone. Is this supposed to be funny and come off silly? Is the character supposed to be awkward and nervous? Is this supposed to be epic and strong? The tone that you establish in your edit for a particular scene, a particular moment, or an entire film will be a good indicator to your audience of how they should be feeling. According to a LinkedIn Learning article on creating a short film, the tone of a film is essentially the way it feels. It's the vibe. It's the personality of the piece or the scene as a whole. Now, this is obviously determined by the genre that the writer initially writes in. It's obviously hammered home by the director and the actor's performances. But you still have a big say. In fact, the editing can make or break these scenes. The editing will ensure that that tone successfully comes across, or the editing will break the scene and make that tone feel cringy and off-putting. So I'd say when you're going for a particular tone, spend some time researching other media that falls in line with that tone. Look for the way that they make cuts and when they make those cuts. Look for the shots that they're looking for. Look for their use of music. Look for the performances that they selected from their actors. Study out other films that have a similar tone in order to notice the trends and the decisions that were made to accomplish that tone so that you can then use it yourself. Think about the last Disney show that you saw. Think about the emotions that it elicits. Think about sort of the movie as a whole, the impressions that it leaves on you, the personality that's expressed. Now compare that to Deadpool. Tone is one of the words that we use to try to express a film's sort of personality and way of being. Is it funny and loose, or is it serious and uptight? Is it dramatic or comedic? Does it leave you with a sense of dread or a sense of peace? Are the characters very, very grounded and close to real people, or are they very absurd and cartoonish? A Christopher Nolan film is very different to a Hayao Miyazaki film, is very different to an Edgar Wright film, is very different to a Jackie Chan film, is very different to The Fast and the Furious. But different films, even in different genres, can have similar tones. The tone is obviously decided on in the first inklings of the idea and in the writer's room. And obviously the director interprets what was written and creates their own tone and personality and style on top of it. So as an editor, your job is not necessarily to define the tone, but it is to find the tone. I think something that sets a really good editor apart is that they can mimic and match most tones and styles, that they're able to give the director what the director wants. Understanding different tones and studying the types of films that are similar to the vein of what you're going to be working in, and then trying to be true to that artistic sense, to that artistic tone. I think that is a huge skill in and of itself. Talking to your director, understanding where the director is trying to go with this project, really getting a good sense for the emotions that we want the audience to take away, the impressions that we want them to feel, and then getting that across in the way that you assemble the shots is one of the reasons why editing is cool, to be honest. And it's a fun give and take too. You have certain tastes and certain sensibilities, and so does your director. And you will influence each other, and the edit will be a cool mix between the two of you. Not only that, but your tastes and interests might change over time depending on who you work with. I would say that my kind of irreverent, flippant, sarcastic tone and my comedic sensibilities is partly my own and partly maybe why I found the advertising agency, but also is definitely a direct result of working in comedic advertising for 5 years and then working for mostly comedic-minded filmmakers. That being said, I think I did a pretty bang-up job on the science fiction film that I edited, and that was in no way funny at all. It's actually pretty intense and dark. A man gets driven kind of crazy and walks around with a machete killing people, okay? It takes itself seriously, is my point.